Hey you guys, Safi here. So, like I mentioned in my last Frontier video, the kids aren't the only characters I redesigned. I also took a step at our lovely comedic relief duo Bokomon and Neemon. Also, you might be noticing some differences to how I am producing these videos. I decided to bite the bullet and go back to Clip Studio Paint, because it's a lot easier for editing. I might make a video comparing Clip Studio Paint to Krita if that's something you guys are interested in, so let me know in the comments below. Anyways, so Bokomon and Neemon. Definitely an interesting choice I made in that season. Those two were added as multiple cute characters which would help add context to the digital world while also giving the writers a very easy way to introduce the central conflict to the kids without having to spend time letting them figure it out themselves. Needless to say, they are not written that great, nor were they well received by audiences at the time. I decided for my rewrites that I wanted them to have more complex characterizations. I was looking back at Frontier and made the realization that despite it being one of the most interesting and fleshed out Digi worlds, it's hard to properly care about it because the characters originating from it are all rather shallow. Adventures made the smart move to have the kids explore the Digi world with the Digimon while also introducing a cast of recurring Digimon which inhabited that world, making both the viewer and the kids grow attached to them and care about their issues and their world. Frontier doesn't really have that. The kids don't get partners, Bokomon and Neemon don't really have any deeper relationship to them other than they are around, I guess. Heck, their own relationship to each other never gets properly defined either. We just know they are a package deal and they live together and they end up raising 3 kids, and okay, maybe we can work out some details based on context clues here actually. There are some Digimons that end up leaving a lasting impression, but none really left the emotional marks that Adventure managed to with the Digimon it brought back in the later half of its season. It doesn't help that the kids immediately know that Digimon don't really die. So how do we fix that? Well, we can start by taking a look at our primary Digimon companions. First of all, let's give those two a bit of flavor. Starting with Neemon, this redesign was pretty easy for me, truth be told. When my brother and me were younger, we used to play a Digimon fighting game we got from Tunisia, which absolutely was pirated, like shamelessly so. Thing wouldn't even work in color on our PS2. Anyways, that game featured Neemon, and despite him being clearly a joke character, my brother easily whopped my ass with him each time he chose him. So the idea of Neemon fighting immediately resonated with me. I thought about how interesting it would be for a Digimon to actively defy its inherent programming to the point of evolving into a new variant. So Neemon Fighter was born. The kids still mostly refer to him as Neemon So, for simplicity's sake. Another thing I decided to do is elevate their level. Bokomon and Neemon are the Digimon I tend to point out when I say rookie level doesn't equal literal child, because both of them always read as adults to me. That being said, I guess Digimon's maturity can't really be measured in the same way humans would be. Either way, they are champion levels now. I justified that with them being variants. So let's talk design. I gave him some boxing gloves and changed his body type a bit to make him look more like a powerful rabbit. He of course kept his baggy pants, but I added a rope so he can pull them up if he wants to go serious mode. One of the first decisions I made was making the relationship status between him and Bokomon explicit. They have been married for a long while before the kids showed up and been traveling the Digi world too. So they have been around quite a bit and know a lot of people. I added a fake holy ring to his ear. Those are actually the wedding bands, so Bokomon also has one. Neemon ends up with a really sweet relationship to Koji actually, who will split off from the group a bit longer than in the original show, which gives me the opportunity to have Neemon go with him a bit and explore him and Bokomon while removed from each other. Neemon takes on a bit of an older brother / father figure role for Koji, which puts a lot of stuff about his biological father into perspective for him. Their shenanigans are very chaotic and very fun. There's definitely a sense of, yeah, we shouldn't have let them go off on their own among the rest of the group. Now, Bokomon was a bit harder to figure out. First of all, we will be going with gender-neutral pronouns for them, just so we are all on the same page. We good? Okay, so since I made Neemon have a stronger connection to Koji, Bokomon would have a stronger bond to Takuya, which works out well considering I made writing and reading part of Takuya's interests. Bokomon's concept is going to be based on the idea of preservation. They grew up in a Digiworld that essentially was dying. Whole parts of their culture and history were lost for seemingly forever, so they made the choice to go and preserve as much knowledge as they can. Bokomon Lorekeeper felt like an appropriate name for them. The idea of making them a spellcaster came later when I researched potential evolutions for those two. I ended up making costume ones for them anyways, but hey, at least it gave me some inspiration. First of all, with Bokomon, a lot of fire-based Digimon, interestingly enough, while Neemon has a lot of angelic ones. Actually, they can even evolve to Greymon and Garurumon respectively, which I didn't realize when I made those decisions, but did when I did some research for this video. Justifies a lot of the things I'm doing here. Love and stuff works out. Anyways, two that jumped out to me were Wizardmon and Wizardmon. For those not aware, let's do a little excursus, shall we? If you are aware of Witlchelny and everything regarding that mess, feel free to skip ahead, I will add a timestamp. In 1998, Bandai released a virtual pet line named Magical Witches. The premise of that line was that you would raise a magical creature who is part of one of 4 clans, based on the 4 commonly used elements of alchemy. So, fire, water, earth and wind. That series was short-lived so, however, since Watanabe Kenji worked on it, at least its main setting, Witlchelny ended up finding a new home within the Digimon universe as an alternative Digiworld / Digiworld from a different dimension, where Digimon can learn sorcery, an advanced programming language. Witlchelny hasn't really been mentioned much outside of vague references in the databooks, despite it being part of the Digimon mythos since pretty much the beginning. It wasn't until recently that some extended media gave that part of the Digiworld some focus. Digimon Dreamers, the Digimon manga which was released during the Ghost Games era, had a whole chapter dedicated to that setting. So, essentially the gist of it all is that any Digimon can migrate from and to Witlchelny. In theory at least. There they can learn sorcery, which can in theory boost their attacks by 50% more than if they evolve. Jeez. No wonder they didn't use that lore much. Would be a nightmare to incorporate. So, you already know where this is going, right? Bokomon in this rewrite is a sorcery user. I felt it would be neat to reference this aspect of the deeper Digimon lore since Bokomon's entire character is basically about Digimon's lore. They specialize in fire magic, but do have knowledge of other elemental magic too, to a minor degree, and some forbidden knowledge of course. However, to make things easier on myself, most of their spells are protection based, and I'm restricting them to a number of spells before they need to rest. Think D&D's spell slots mechanics. Visually, I didn't change much about Bokomon. I added a scarf to match Neemon, and I also gave them a fake holy ring as a wedding band, this time on the ankle to resemble the tag rings domesticated birds have. I also added a small scar on their beak, for story reasons. So, this marks the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like always, I'm trying to improve my content each time, so I hope my delivery was a bit more exciting this time around. Again, please check the links in my description. Also would like to give a shout out to Creators for Palestine here. I know it's not really anything of note with how small my channel is, but I still want people to be aware that this happened and that I'm proud of every person who participated in that fundraiser. Have a good day. Bye.